Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for braving the cold weather to be here this evening. Please feel free to keep your jackets and hats on because it's still cool here as well. Prepare yourself for the travel home. Speaking of the travel home, because of the extreme weather this evening, we're not going to be able to have the reception. So unfortunately, after this event, we can gather out front for a nice conversation, but we won't be able to have any refreshments for you. We apologize for that. So thank you for coming again. Also thanks to our quintet for performing this evening. Before I introduce Dr. Jones and she can introduce our keynote speaker, I just want to say thanks to you students of the graduating class of 2013 for your investment in education and your promotion of rigor. As you travel the hallways of George Mason High School, you definitely set the stage for those who came behind you to try to reach for those high aspirations. As I look back, and Dr. Jones just asked me, do you get happy when you see the kids come back into the building? And I do. I get such a great sense of pride for seeing you kids walk back through our doorways. And as I serve as a representative to the great teachers that you had, not only at George Mason High School, but those teachers that many of you had at Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School, and now I'm forgetting all the names of our schools, but all of the schools that are part of the Falls Church City Public School System. We only get an opportunity to congratulate you as you walk across the stage at Constitution Hall, but it's the efforts of all of those teachers that you've had at Mount Daniel and TJ and Mary Ellen Henderson before you came to us that really set the stage for you guys to be successful. And as I hear the stories, I got a couple of snippets of what you're doing out in your new lives as young adults, and it just warms my heart to know that we're a small part of your success. But also the parents. The parents that were able to come this evening, thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to your children. We are very fortunate at George Mason High School. Our kids come to school on a daily basis, prepared to compete in the classroom, prepared to give their very best. They're fed well, they're clothed well, and they have people who love them and nurture their interests and curiosity, and it helps us as educators when we have a classroom full of students who can't wait to turn the next page and to do that next challenge and to accomplish that next goal. So thank you to the parents who send us the best kids that America has to offer. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Jones so she can introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you.
And first of all, I would just like to say also welcome back. And this is a great night because I think it's so representative of what Falls Church City Public Schools does so well. And I want to say congratulations to all of our IB diploma recipients. I think it's such a huge deal. I know that you realize that now when you're going through it, it feels so hard. But what you've accomplished is something that so few students in America accomplished and so few students internationally. So really a huge congratulations to you. It's amazing what you have accomplished, and we're very proud of you. And I also want to build on what Mr. Bird said, just to the parents and to the families and grandparents that support our students, because Falls Church City is the school district that it is because of the community and the collective efforts of all of the families really coming together to support education in a way that is really rare, sadly. I think for many school districts across the country, they don't have what we have. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can tell you that we show up every day loving our jobs, and the students and the families are the reason. So thank you for that. And I'm actually going to introduce Mr. Misra, who does an amazing job coordinating all of our international baccalaureate programming for us. And believe it or not, he actually even has a hand, little bits in PYP and MYP and all types of our IB programming. And he is going to introduce our guest speaker.
First, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming on this very frigid evening. And also, I think there were a lot of assumptions made in the community about this possibly being canceled, so I appreciate that you were attentive to the school's webpage, my multiple emails that I sent today, and other communication. Cal and I were talking that I am sorry that many of you aren't seeing your teachers today, because normally we do have a decent teacher presence here, but because there wasn't school today, you could hopefully understand why some of your teachers aren't here. We have the forum on Thursday where some of you will be speaking to the 10th graders. Come back and visit your teachers if you haven't already done so. Well, as always, it is my true, distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the 2014 IB Awards ceremony. And I saw a lot of hugs in the hallway, so that's why we call this a reunion as well. A time for you to visit with your friends and classmates that helped you survive through the diploma program. Before I welcome this evening's speaker, I wanted to say a few things. Again, thank all of you for dealing with the cold, but I especially want to thank Mr. John Ballou, who on the day when the faculty did not need to be here, he was here to help us set up this auditorium and make sure the heat was on. At noon, there was no heat in here. I was quite nervous. Ms. Amy Janowitz, our Director of Counseling, who you saw outside, Mr. Matthew Hills, our new and outstanding Assistant Principal, who also came in today to help with this event, and of course, Mr. Bird and Dr. Jones, our loyal leaders and supporters here. Lastly, I don't know if you guys saw I says quintet, it was actually a quintet, but one of the students couldn't make it. So the quartet that was up here this evening, a really amazing statement about our community. Those students had the day off. All the rest of their classmates are at home, and they came in to perform for us this evening. So Dominique Barna, Orion Date, Abby Smith, and Kalila Zackerson, those were the students that performed for us. IB diploma candidates and future. Well, normally at this ceremony, we are blessed by the presence of Lou Olam. Some of you may know Lou Olam is the Falls Church community leader that is responsible for inspiring in the late 70s and early 80s the discussion of adopting the IB program. He was with the State Department, he became familiar with International Baccalaureate, and as Falls Church was really struggling like the rest of the United States to find a way to bring rigor that inspired creative and critical thinking, he brought that to the table. Well, Mr. Olam can't be here because last week on the holiday he broke his ankle. He's recovering well, but it was a little too much for him to make it tonight. I was lucky enough to have lunch with him, so I got to hear what he wanted me to extend to all of you. So first, he sends his best wishes and regrets for not being able to make it, and he really wanted me to share with you his joy at your accomplishments, the students of class of 2013. He was quite proud that 100% of you that attempted to adopt the IB diploma succeeded, and over 84% of your classmates passed an IB exam. He was also quite ecstatic to hear that today 90% of George Mason students are IB students, and 1 in every 3 juniors is pursuing the full IB diploma. He really, I think, senses that he's seeing the culmination of something that he helped inspire here in our community. You may have heard Mr. Olam's name. You may remember it from June 2013 when diploma recipients, you received the Jonathan L. Olam Memorial Medal. The medal was named after Mr. Olam's late son, Jonathan, who led a life committed to the ideals that your IB education aims for, cooperation and understanding. That memorial medal, I hope you guys still have it up somewhere in your bedroom at home or in college, was made possible by the generous support of Mr. Olam. We thank him for his leadership and continued support of our International Baccalaureate program, and we wish him a quick recovery. If you know Mr. Olam, please do give him a call and join me in thanking him. Now I'd like to introduce this evening's keynote speaker. George Mason has a long-held tradition of asking graduates to nominate a keynote speaker for the IB Award ceremony. For the last many years, students have nominated notable teachers like Mr. Sharf, Mr. Snyder, Ms. Mears, our school leaders like former principal Mr. Snee, and previous renowned graduates. This year, for the first time in our known history, George Mason students have nominated a fellow classmate. Unbeknownst to our speaker, at least at first, he figured it out, you guys began a social media campaign to nominate him. At least there was one Facebook posting I know of. You guys may have been so passionate about nominating him because of his outstanding and dynamic career as a top student here, or because of his many academic recognitions, such as governor's school nominations and acceptance, his extended essay award for excellence in research and writing, and his many subject and outstanding students award. If you remember the award ceremony, his name was mentioned many times, all 4 years. Or he may have been chosen because of his excellence in athletics and fitness, which included the founding of, I cannot say this acronym, CHUSCGGSCH Club, also known as the Kyle Hannon Underground Strength and Conditioning Garage Gym. How many of you have seen this gym before? Yes. Anyway, on the other hand, he may have been chosen because of his skills as a guitarist. He performed many times on this stage in many different rock groups. Or he was chosen because of his selection as Mr. Mason and his dramatic feats of strength you may remember from last year, which he called his machismo multimedia journey. He picked many of you up over his head and showed us that he could do that. Not just you skinny ones out there, but you tall ones as well. we were quite impressed. In reality, I would contend, and I would guess most of you would agree, that Cal was not just chosen because he is truly gifted in all of the areas that many more mentioned, but because he is much more than that. Cal approached all of his success within our community with a humble heart, a generous and kind spirit, and most of all with compassion and humor. Please join me in welcoming our class of 2013 Ivy Awards Ceremony keynote speaker, Mr. Calder Matthew Clark Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, and thank you everyone for braving the Martian temperatures outside to be here today. Because maybe you'll freeze out there because it's cold outside. How's school? Good, good. How's your roommate? Good, good. Classes? Good. Great. I have two things to say today. The first is this. I'd like to thank all of the people who make the IB program possible at GMHS, including but not limited to Dr. Jones, Mr. Berg, GMHS teaching and advising staff, including my Grammy-nominated extended essay advisor, Mrs. West, who I thought would be here. I also have a few more personal thanks. One is for Mr. Sharp, whom I nominated to be making this speech instead of me, and whose TOK class should, in my opinion, be a prerequisite to life after high school. And the other is for Mr. Mishra, a 9th grade TA, and also the IB program coordinator. His personal and often underappreciated commitment to the IB program makes it possible for so many students to take deep, meaningful, and stimulating classes in high school. I think that the work of these two teachers to force students to think about the real purpose of their education is an important and often thankless task, open parentheses. It would be difficult to find two bigger sources of complaints and whining among GMHS juniors and seniors, close parentheses, for which I would like to thank them. I would also like to slip in a thank you to Stuart Harvey and James Hickey for calling me a contemporary soothsayer and spearheading the drive to nominate me for this speech over much better qualified options. I hope that my mysterious vivacity, Stuart Harvey, is flowing through your veins as we speak, and this does prove to be the right thing to do, not just for the class of 2013, also for society as a whole, as James Hickey would contend. I'd also like to share one quick thought about the IB program, and it's a cliche for which I apologize profusely, but I think it needs saying. The IB program by itself is not anything. It is a relatively vague set of ideals and collections of lists and acronyms and requirements and learner profiles and IAs and TOKs and CAS and IOCs, IOPs and Shiskuya for what have you, if you will, so help us. And this is not the most important part of the IB program, though many people think that it is. The IB program, like anything you will do, is an interaction where you supply all the substance. What is important is what each student brings, and that is directly proportional to what each student takes away from their IB experience. It is possible to fake CAS journals and entire CAS activities, to write the entire extended essay between December 16th and December 17th. To come away from TOK with nothing more than feeling justified saying with wide eyes, ha, now you're getting all TOK on me. But what if we're just brains in a vat? To come away from English class knowing only that Seamus Haney wrote sometimes about animals and his wife, sometimes from the same poem, and that Okonkwo had daddy issues. To read McKelvey at the end of the year instead of Grinnell or Grenville without the year, I'm sorry, Grinnell's on my mind. And to completely skip the Mexican Revolution at the end of 11th grade. And to also never actually work on the James Webb Space Telescope project. And it's also possible to do all this and complain at the same time. However, what is admirable about the IB program is that it is not designed as an airtight program to force learning, as a gauntlet laid down for the students to get the certificates or diploma in the least effort possible. It is designed to allow students to suddenly find that they see TOK issues everywhere, to find an extended essay topic that they actually want to write about, and to find that somehow they were tricked into not only learning French, but learning in French eclectic things such as the history of Haiti and the state of education in North Africa. And speaking of North Africa, that brings me to the second thing I'd like to talk about today. It was foreseen in prophecy that the sky goddess Nut would bear a child who would end the rule of Ra on earth among men. Ra placed a curse upon Nut in such a way that she was not able to bear a child on any day of the year. Nut went to the god of wisdom, Thoth, for help. And Thoth, being thrice blessed, came up with a strategy. He went to the god of the moon, Khonsu, and played drafts with him. But they gambled not for money or possessions, but for light. And with the light that Thoth won, he was able to create 5 extra days between the end of one year and the beginning of the next. This is why there are 365 days in the year instead of 360. In this way, Nut was able to circumvent Ra's curse, and she bore 4 children. The first, her son Osiris, was born on the first of the days. Her second, a daughter, Isis. Her third, another son, Set. And her fourth, a daughter, Nephthys. Osiris grew up to become a great and renowned pharaoh, and his renown was known throughout the land. His great deeds were acclaimed. However, his brother Set was jealous, and for every great deed that he heard of, his anger and resentment towards Osiris grew. He devised a strategy. He gathered 72 conspirators to himself, and with these conspirators, he learned the exact measurements of Osiris' body. With these measurements, he constructed a chest, and he made it out of imported cedar wood from Lebanon, because the only wood available in Egypt is the soft and useless palm. Once the chest was complete with the exact measurements of Osiris' body, he inlaid it with gold, and it was the most beautiful chest that had ever been seen. He invited Osiris and his 72 conspirators to a feast, and at the feast, there was richer food, stronger wine, and greater musicians than had ever been seen before. After many days of feasting, he brought out the chest, and everyone coveted it because it was very beautiful. And he said, "Whoever can fit inside this chest most exactly will own it." So, one by one, each of his 72 conspirators attempted to fit into the chest. But one could not because he was too tall, while another could not because he was too short. One was too wide, while another was too thin. Finally, Osiris said, "I will try to fit in the chest." And he tried, and behold, he fit. However, and once he was inside the chest, he said, "I fit in the chest exactly, and it is mine." However, Set slammed the lid shut and sealed the edges with molten lead, killing Osiris, and he sent the chest off down the Nile. It traveled for many days before bumping up against land and growing into the heart of a giant tree. Isis was distraught because she knew that Osiris' spirit, lacking a proper burial, was stuck in the burning pits of the Duat, the testing place, and could not move on to the Amenti. So she set out to search for Osiris' body and give him a proper burial. She searched for many months without any success, until finally she asked the children playing along the side of the Nile where she could find the chest, and they told her. Thus it was that Isis blessed the children so that they might sometimes see things to come, as is the case even now. When she discovered the trade, she split it open with her magic and recovered the chest, which she attempted to smuggle back into Egypt. However, Set caught them both by the moonlight, and in his anger he tore open the chest and ripped Osiris' body into 14 pieces, which he scattered up and down the length of the Nile for the crocodiles to feast on. However, the crocodiles would not touch the body of a god, and Isis knew this, and with her magic she discovered the location of each of the pieces and went to each one in turn to intern it correctly and give it a proper burial. In this way, Osiris' spirit was able to pass on to the Amenti. When she was traveling throughout the river, Isis traveled in a papyrus boat, which the crocodiles did not disturb because she was a god. Even to this day, you are safe traveling in the Nile in a papyrus boat. Thank you.
I could not have imagined a better way to honor you than having your classmate, Cal Hampton, speak. So thank you so much, Cal. Thank you for the kind words for the faculty here at the school. I know they're appreciated, and while everyone couldn't be here today, you are on Falls Church television, Cal, so, and people do watch it, so you will be seen. Okay, we will shortly have the pleasure of presenting you with your IB diploma and certificates. Prior to that, however, would like to say a few words if possible. This evening's celebration is intended to recognize the significance of your academic accomplishments and most importantly, your resilience, which I think Cal referred to when he was listing all of those things that you do, which by the way, I must acknowledge, this is one of the first times where we're spending time together where I'm not telling you guys to do something. So I enjoy that greatly. You class of 2013 IB graduates, in preparation for this evening when I was thinking about you guys, I was reflecting on your significant contributions to our community, using that word community in a big sense. You were challenging our assumptions and stereotypes about the homeless through compassionate information campaigns. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. You were funding the education of students in rural Uganda. I see the leader of that here today. You were pressing the community to reduce waste. You were tutoring struggling classmates that needed your help. You were spending precious time on Saturday mornings with all that work that Cal was talking about at the beginning. Tutoring and mentoring elementary inner city students. You were commuting to Adams Morgan after busy school days to care for kindergartners. I see some of you who are doing that here today. You were playing jazz hits for seniors at the Sunrise Retirement Community. You were translating advertisements for an agriculture collective in South America. Yes, you, I'm glad you're here today as well. You were breaking down barriers to friendship through Best Buddies. You were cooking gourmet meals for the homeless. If any of you have ever cooked with the seniors in school, the first time I ever did that with your class, I brought a recipe down there. And immediately I was told to put it away. And off the top of your heads, you guys cooked something quite brilliant and gourmet, so I'm not making that up. I could keep going on and on. I'm going to stop right there. My point is simple. That you, the class of 2013 International Baccalaureate graduates, were meaningfully committed to making your community a better place. This simple point helped me to realize that this evening we're not celebrating the great sense of independence that you bring with you to your colleges, which is leading to your success your freshman year, but what you have achieved is interdependence here in our community. It is in this this interdependence rather than independence, we've come to realize that our George Mason community is able to foster. You students in the class of 2013 represent this realization that you're responsible to each other and your community being your local, national, and international community. We know your IB success is providing you with intellectual skills and abilities that you will need for success in college and thus to secure gainful employment in life. Parents, cover your ears. You all will achieve gainful employment. Don't be scared. Even if you're majoring in English literature, don't listen to it. But we also know that you are empowered to be active in supporting members of society. It is this independent spirit, your ability to contribute to your community and society that we celebrate as we award your IB diplomas and certificates this evening. These diplomas and certificates are, as you know, you've heard me say this before, are accepted as university entrants in 140 countries around the world. Some of you can transfer to Oxford if you wish based on your performance in your diploma. These documents represent an educational movement that is supporting this realization of the interdependent commitment that I mentioned before. Hopefully today, as you receive your diploma or certificate, you're able to reflect on the fruits of your hard work and this commitment to your community and what that means for your time now in college and your time after you graduate from college. On that note, we're going to begin awarding your diplomas and certificates. As I call your name, please approach the stage from your right to receive your diploma and certificate. I'm going to call you in alphabetical order. For those of you that obtain the IB diploma, I will read the subject and title of your extended essays. Some of you have spent a year writing them, and some of you a little less time, as Cal referenced. Nonetheless, as you hear these titles, you'll realize the truth to the statement that Jay Matthews, the Washington Post journalist, has stated. That, quote, these students are succeeding at the kinds of scholarly research that master's degree candidates tackle. Our first IB diploma recipient this evening is Araba Ankuma, who wrote her extended essay in literature, The Allegorical Ties Between Voldemart's Journey to Power and the Rise of Hitler's Nazi Germany. We can clap. Araba, I really do miss hearing your voice in the hallway outside my office, quite loud. You guys know what I'm talking about. Hannah Beeman, who wrote her extended essay in Spanish, please excuse my Spanish. ¿Por qué Jorge Luis Borges manipula los conceptos de la memoria, el tiempo y la percepción en Libro de Arena? Ms. Taylor Breesy, who wrote her extended essay in History, How One Man Tried to Change the United States, Native American Education Policies, and Ultimately Failed. Damon Brooks, who received IB certificates. Darnelli Butler. Miska Chihata. Jacqueline Cornejo, who wrote her extended essay in Spanish. ¿De qué manera es injusto clasificar los salvadoreños indocumentados en los Estados Unidos como criminales? Rachel Croxton, who wrote her extended essay in Chemistry. What is the feasibility of using cassava instead of corn for the production of fuel ethanol in Virginia? John Glover, who we're celebrating, received many IB certificates. Carrie Gudenkopf. She wrote her extended essay in History. To what extent did the Cultural Revolutions, 1966 to 1976, affect women's rights in China? Elmer Hannon, who wrote his extended essay in Music, an investigation of the evolution of, I am not familiar with this band's name, Meshuggah's use of complex rhythmic techniques on the album Koloss with reference to their earlier work. And Kyle received our school's extended essay award for excellence in research writing for that essay. Stuart Harvey, who received many IB certificates. Christina Holman, who wrote her extended essay in Politics. To what extent has OPEC influenced the political relations between the United States and Saudi Arabia? Jacob Carstens, who wrote his extended essay in Mathematics, Finding a Regression and Testing the Correlation between the strictness of state GDL laws and respective automotive teenage death rates. Nina Kravinsky, who wrote her extended essay in Psychology, Can an unconscious decision ever be a better decision? Jane Luo, who received many IB certificates. Maggie Mascarenas, who wrote her extended essay in History, the development of the anti-vaccine movement in the United States of America. Caleb Mengesha, who also received multiple IB certificates. Vijay Menon, who wrote his extended essay in History. Amidst other factors, to what extent did East Germany's failed socialist economic policies contribute to the country's ultimate downfall? Liam O'Connell, who wrote his extended essay in literature, how does the concept of predestination shape and affect the character's thoughts and actions in William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying? Eva Reynolds, who received multiple IB certificates. Emily Rosenberg, who wrote her extended essay in history. Was the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, as a model for the broader Indian boarding school movement, successful in integrating Native Americans into general American society? Jesse Schaefer, who received many IB certificates. Kevin Schmidt, who's also the recipient of many or multiple IB certificates. Callan Shea, who wrote her extended essay in biology, the effect of climate change on mosquito activity and the transportation of malaria. Quinn Sheehy, who wrote her extended essay in Spanish, Pedro Pan y la isla nunca jamás era real, hasta que punto fu exitosa la operación Pedro Pan. Don't tell my high school Spanish teacher. Elizabeth Sybil, who received IB certificates in multiple subjects. Christina Scotti, or Kiki as we know her, she wrote her extended essay in literature, The Philosophy of Time and Death in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5. Anna Strohmeyer, who took multiple IB subjects and received IB certificates. Julia Western, who wrote her extended essay in history, How Howell Helped Develop Freedom from Censorship in the United States. And last but definitely not least, Susanna Whittle, who wrote her extended essay in literature, To What Extent Do Playwrights Anton Chekhov and Tennessee Williams explore setting to present self-estrangement and idleness in female protagonists in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Uncle Vanya? Before I go on for some final words, there's a faculty member here who is a large part of the great success you guys had in the contributions you made to our community. To those activities that I listed before, our outstanding Spanish teacher, Spanish department leader, and CAS coordinator, Ms. Suzanne Planas. You can join me in thanking her. Well, I want to congratulate all of you for your hard work, your achievements, and mostly for where you are today and what you're doing. We've all been quite impressed, and thankfully many of you visited us right when your winter vacation started to hear of the contributions you're making already just in your first semester of college to your communities. And I know you'll continue doing that, and I know as you seek your careers and seek to contribute to our country, to our society, to your communities, you'll remember those commitments you made here at one time at George Mason High School. So please continue to visit us. Please continue to share with us your accomplishments, your success, your struggles as you face them. These moments are really give us the joy in what we do to see where you are today. Parents, thank you so much as well for all of your support and commitment while your kids were up late doing those assignments Cal listed for. And I'm sure you as well join us in the pride in seeing what you students have accomplished today. Thank you so much, and I hope we can at least say hello on the outside. And congratulations.